Alright, guys, this is going to be an iceberg for WWERP or BTR, Between the Ropes, blah, blah, blah. Um, Anthony made this and he wanted me to do a video about it, so if you don't know what an iceberg is, it's basically like how deep can you go on a topic, how deep can you go on a any kind of topic. So he made one for this one. I'm gonna go over it and try to explain these the best that I can. Alright, so let's start off with Paul Starr. Paul Starr, before we rebooted everything, Paul Starr was one of the biggest heels. At one point, he was one of the biggest faces in the company. He was also one of the biggest heels in the company. He had a god complex. He called himself the wrestling god. Trademark John Bradshaw Layfield. He started out as a lackey to Anthony Chandler. He adopted a gimmick on ECW where he was like a very hardcore kind of wrestler. Then he evolved there from the hardcore god to the wrestling god, and he kind of broke away from Anthony and all them and became a star on his own, basically. It didn't last very long. His reign at the top did not last very long. It wasn't very eventful, besides the feud with John Cena, and that was about it. So that's Paul Starr, if you didn't know. Alright, John Cena heel run. In 2015, I want to say, John Cena went on a huge heel run. I think this is late 2014, early 2015, I want to say. Cena went on a huge heel run on ECW. He was basically the top heel on ECW, on the ECW brand at the time. He had matches with Kurt Angle, Alan Snyder, Daniel Bryan, and a couple other people. It was a big thing at the time. I played the heel Cena. It was a fun experiment for me personally. Would I do it again? I don't know. It's hard to pull off a heel Cena though. It's very hard to pull off, in my opinion. All right, Zara McMahon. Oh my God. Okay, so this was an idea. That's what it was. It was an idea that there was. Originally, it was going to be revealed that Zara was a proxy for Vince, and he planted her in the company. So when Anthony went into a coma, that she would take over, which she did take over, but she was supposed to bring Vince back into power as well. It was just an idea. It was never like in serious discussion or serious consideration, but yes, there was an idea that Zara was working for Vince, and she was going to put him back in power, and there was going to be a big storyline there between Vince, Allen, and then Anthony was going to be involved in that as well. But that's all it was. It was an idea. Never got past any kind of conceptual stages. No, it's not going to happen. But it was an idea. All right, Linda. Oh man, Linda was based off a character from Hyperdimension Neptunia named Linda. She started off as an underling to another character. She was really just a minion, and then she kind of got over on her own, and she got a lot of support, and she had a pretty solid character arc. That kind of got ruined at the end, but she had a pretty solid character arc. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about Linda. I don't remember too much about Linda anyway. Yeah, that's it. Zach Poe. Woo boy, Zach Poe. Man. Okay, so Zach Poe at one point was the face of the WWERP. He was the face of the group. He was going position as being the face of the group for years to come. But obviously there was a lot of drama and backstage politics and stuff like that, and temper tantrums and stuff that kind of put those plans haywire. But yeah, Zach Poe, he's basically the Lex Luger of WWERP or BTR. It's basically the Lex Luger. I mean, seriously. He was positioned as John Cena, Hulk Hogan, but really he just turned out to be the Lex Luger. The reboot. Okay, so the reboot. So in 2020, we put a temporary pause on the whole group. Back when it was called WWERP or WWE Year Zero, whatever. And announced a reboot a year later And I want to say February or March of 2021, we launched a reboot, which was as known today as Between the Ropes. It rebooted pretty much everything except the few writers that were here that wanted some of their characters' histories and stuff like that. It's really up to the discretion of the writers, but it erased all the characters of the writers that aren't here anymore and revamped some of those characters. So yeah, that's why there's no Paul Starr. That's why there's no, we'll get to him, Chris Coleman. There's no Zach Poe. There's no Linda. There's really none of those characters. So those were ran by writers that aren't with us anymore. And we just wanted to freshen up and get a new start. I mean, before that we had like 10 years. So sorry, we had 8 years at that point. I think I want to say yes. And I think it was a good decision. Start a clean slate, fresh creative ideas, fresh storylines, stuff like that. All right. Chris Coleman, as I just mentioned before, Chris Coleman was a character by the same writer as Linda and Paul Starr. Chris Coleman was basically a Brock Lesnar ripoff. He started off as, I don't know, some Brian Pillman, John Moxley ripoff. I don't know. Then he just became a Brock Lesnar ripoff. He was also a UFC fighter. The character was. He was also a UFC fighter. He was also in the same stable as Paul Starr, Anthony Chandler, and Zach Poe. They all came from the original Revolution stable before the reboot, which obviously is different now. But he was probably before Paul Starr. He was the one that was positioned to be. It's weird because Zach Poe. Okay, so Chris Coleman was positioned as the guy to break out from Revolution. Then he kind of flopped and became irrelevant. So then Zach Poe was the guy, but the Zach Poe experiment kind of fell. And then it was Paul Starr was the guy, and then the Paul Starr experiment failed. And ended up just being Anthony because he was the most consistent. He put on the best matches, the best promos. He was more well-rounded than all of them combined, and by miles. It was never even close. So, yeah, Chris Coleman. Just I don't know what else to add there. Anthony's coma. Whoo! Right. At WrestleMania 8 or WrestleMania 2018, Anthony had a match with Seth Rollins. They had like almost a year-long feud. And the conclusion of the match saw Anthony get beat so bad. And then after that match with Seth, he had a match with Paul Starr that lasted he was already beaten by Seth, so the match probably lasted 10 minutes. And Anthony, by then, after having 2 hellacious matches, was just fucked up so bad that he fell into a coma. Obviously now in the reboot that was changed, there was no match with Paul Starr. It was just Seth that put him in the coma. But Anthony fell into a coma. That's when Zara Piper took over and all that stuff, and that's how we end up where we are today. So yeah, Anthony was in a coma for most of the next season, from August of 2018 to March. Pretty sure it was March, or either March or April of 2019. When he came out of the coma, he had memory loss. It was a big storyline where he had amnesia, and he learned about all that he did before the coma, so he was trying to right his wrongs and stuff like that. Then it got exposed that he was pretty much faking the amnesia. Well, he got his memories back faster than he disclosed, so he was pretty much faking the amnesia for a while, and a whole thing happened there. World War III was a pay-per-view that featured wrestlers, hosted by WWERP, featured wrestlers from all promotions. You had guys from MLW, Lucha Underground. You had guys from Revolution Pro. You had guys from so many promotions, past and present. You had ECW reunions and stuff like that. It was a big pay-per-view. You had even UFC guys on there. You had football guys on there. It was a battle of all combat sports, basically. and it was a pretty big pay-per-view. It was pretty big. It was pretty good too. Very successful. Had a lot of fun doing that one. All right. McGregor versus Hayden at Royal Rumble 2019. Right. I remember this. I actually remember this. So there was supposed to be a match between Conor McGregor and Hayden for the WWE Championship, which is the title that Hayden held at the time. At the 2019 Royal Rumble, that match was supposed to go down. But plans changed, and instead Cena got the title shot because it was Cena and McGregor, number one contenders match. Cena got the shock victory over Conor after Conor tired himself out trying to put Cena away. And it ended up being Hayden versus Cena, I don't think that match was at the Rumble. I don't think Hayden versus Cena was at the Rumble. I think Conor and Cena was at the Rumble, the rematch. But if Conor won, it would have been Hayden versus Conor at the Rumble that year in Dublin. But obviously that didn't happen. I don't even think Hayden and Conor ever happened in the future. It was supposed to happen, but it never happened. So that's a good one. Zari Mercer versus Sasha Banks. Pretty self-explanatory. Zari Mercer was supposed to fight Sasha Banks at Vixen Mania in 2022. Didn't have enough time to build that, though. Wanted to give it the proper build, so I kind of shelved those plans. And instead had Sasha and Zari do their own things. Alright, Elis Heart Attack. Oh yeah, so Elis was a character. He was a pretty big mid-carder. Was being positioned for a main event push. Unfortunately, that never happened. He never really won the big one, but he was a pretty big mid-carder. He had a stable called Elistopia with Bobby Lashley, Mark Henry. I don't remember who else. I think William Regal. I don't remember who else, but it was a stable called Elistopia. So he had a pretty long reign as European champion. I think it was the longest reigning European champion. Pretty big high profile feud with Blitz at WrestleMania. He comes back years later after a hiatus. And then in the middle of matches, he starts having heart problems and heart attacks and compulsions and stuff like that. Never led to anywhere. That's due to the writer's fault, but it never led to anywhere. So that should be on that iceberg for sure, because it never led to anywhere. We still don't know what was happening. Asylum / Elite. So Asylum and Elite were the new shows that came after season 8 and season 9, because Raw was basically destroyed at that point. It was Asylum and Elite were only supposed to last one season anyway, but it was just a temporary change to kind of sell home the fact that things were never going to be the same, and things have been so far gone beyond repair after everything that's happened with Seth and Anthony and Hellblazer and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what it was. Okada versus Hayden 2. Oh man, this is a good one. So in January of 2018, at Survivor Series 2018, Hayden put his WWE Championship on the line against Okada, who was the IWGP champion in the universe. Hayden was basically the biggest heel at the time. He was the biggest star at the time. And this was a pretty big match. I mean, it really was. It was like I was hyped for it. It was a big fight feel. It was in Japan too, in front of Okada's hometown. Home country. It just felt like a WrestleMania match at Survivor Series. It was a pretty big deal. And there was a lot of heat on Hayden throughout the match, and Hayden won the match, which nobody expected for some reason. I don't know why it was a shock to everybody when Hayden won that match, but Hayden pinned Okada 1, 2, 3 clean. He had a stable, the Hayden gang, but he didn't use it. He beat Okada clean. It was a big deal when he did that. It was a very big deal when he did that. And Okada, it's still a part of Okada's storyline today, because he remembers losing to Hayden and he's always wanted that rematch. And there was supposed to be a rematch. This time it was going to be in Seattle. I think it was supposed to happen later that year or at the next Survivor Series. But it never came to fruition. Okada did end up becoming a full-time member of the WWERP roster. But that still never happened just because it was basically, I mean, they were always busy doing something. Hayden was always busy doing something. Okada was always busy doing something, so we just could not find the time to put time aside, because a feud like that, it can't be like, you know, a offshoot kind of feud, right? Like, it has to be a big deal. It has to have months of build, and there has to be a lot of time dedicated to it. And we just couldn't find the time to dedicate that to that feud. But yeah, Hayden and Okada were gonna have a rematch. It just never happened. But still, man, I mean, maybe it's better that they don't, because that Hayden and Okada first match, that was iconic. I mean, it was a great match. But it was a greater moment. Like, it was just a great moment for both of their characters. The face of the WWE is cursed. I think I know what this means. I guess every time we designated someone as the face of the WWE, there would always be a heel that got more over, and then that face would become obsolete. It happened almost every time we designated someone as the face of the WWE. For some reason in this group, it was the heels that always got more over than the faces. Maybe it was the way the writers played the faces. They all tried to play the faces like John Cena, basically. There wasn't enough edge. There wasn't enough Stone Cold mixed in with it, I guess, to give an example. But yeah, the face of WWE was cursed. Matthew was cursed. Zach was cursed. Elis was cursed. Everyone who was going to be in a position to be the face of the WWE was cursed for some reason. Except and then the heels would always become the faces. It was weird. Alan Snyder losing streak. All right, 2013. Alan Snyder just beats The Undertaker. He went on a massive run in the first half of 2013. Beat The Undertaker streak at WrestleMania, and then after that, he gets a piece of humble pie and starts going on a massive losing streak throughout the off season into the first half of the season. He was going on a massive losing streak. I mean, he was losing pretty much all the damn time. A lot of this had to do with the fact that there was drama about Alan going over too much. A lot of people didn't like Alan going over all the time, even though we were literally trying to build a monster heel, but okay. But they didn't like Alan going over all the time. I mean, he was going to beat The Undertaker. Why wouldn't he be going over all the time still, though? It's just kind of stupid shit that Alan had to deal with. So, you know, Alan being the humble guy that he is, he's like, okay, I'll take my lumps. I'll put people over for a little bit. But I just got sick of it, so I just started having him win anyway. I just got sick of it, watching him lose. It made no sense. It's the guy that beat Undertaker. Why are we having him lose all the damn time? So, yeah, that was one of the times where I was like, no, Alan doesn't need to lose this match. And Alan's losing streak ended at the end of 2013, I want to say, going into the beginning of 2014. Yep. And Alan's never been on a long-term losing streak since. I think the most he's lost since then is like 2 in a row. But he's never been on a massive losing streak ever since then. Vixen's World War V. Oh yeah, that was a planned season-long event that was gonna be, I want to say 2019, either 2018 or 2019. Vixen season was gonna be called Vixen's World War V, and it was gonna be all about a power struggle within Vixens, a faction war within Vixens. Vixens were gonna all be split into these factions, kind of like Stardom is, and kind of like, you know, like the Warriors, some turf war shit, West Side Story type shit. But yeah, never got around to that for various reasons. Maven / Simon Dean push, right? This is so forgotten. It's so forgotten, but at the time it was such a big deal. But it's sad to see how much it's been forgotten. I hardly remember it. But 2013, Maven got a big push as the IC champion. He got over as hell, so he got a big push as IC champion with Simon Dean as his manager. This is Maven Huffman, by the way. With Simon Dean as his manager, I mean, he even went on to beat Brock Lesnar. Like, Maven was getting a huge push. He was going on his way to, he almost won the WWE Championship, I believe. I believe there were plans for him, though, to win the WWE Championship, and that almost happened. I don't remember why it didn't happen, because, again, I don't really remember Maven's reign that much, or his brief push that much. It's just how bad my memory's getting. Big Show defeats Hayden at WrestleMania 2015. That was planned. Yes, that was planned. Big Show, when Big Show went on that massive run from 2013 to 2015, when Big Show was like unstoppable for that whole 2-year stretch, he was just unstoppable, just beating everybody. Yes, Hayden, Big Show was WWE champion, I believe, going into this match, and the original plan was for Big Show to retain, because we didn't know what was going to happen with Hayden. We didn't know if Hayden was going to be there after WrestleMania. So the plan was for Big Show to retain. I'm not exactly sure why that changed. I don't remember why that changed, but I do know that Hayden would eventually go on to win the match. And he did stick around, too, because he was there for the rest of the year. Yeah. ECW. Oh, that was a good match, too. Big Show versus Hayden, and that was a good feud as well. ECW. So, yes, ECW was a third brand at one point before it got replaced by Vixens, I think. But it was a third brand at one point. It had a lot of hits and misses, but there was like a time where it was like on a very good hot streak, and it was like must-see TV, and it was better than SmackDown and Raw some nights. At least in terms of the action. Not really the storylines or the writing and stuff, but in terms of like the action and the feuds. But yeah, then it just kind of sunk in the toilet. There's a lot of over-dramatic, melodramatic bullocks that went on, and a lot of bickering and bantering that went on. A lot of hurt feelings that haven't been resolved, I guess, that went on. And ECW eventually faded away. But there were plans for a lot of those ECW guys. There were plans for a lot of them to be top stars in the company, but obviously things changed. Criticism was not taken well, etc., so on and so forth. Seth's record against Allen. I almost forgot that one. Well, yeah, this is self-explanatory. You guys know what this is. Seth is undefeated against Allen. Allen has never, ever beaten Seth freaking Rollins. He's never beaten him. DC Comics / anime. I guess this is referencing all the connections between DC Comics and anime and the universe, like appearances by like Jim Gordon and Butch Gilzine from Gotham and stuff like that, and all the allusions to Nightwing and Batman from a lot of the characters like Omega, Felix, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's that. Cinematic matches, which kind of started really around the time that Hayden became the top guy. I think the catalyst for the cinematic matches was really a prison. It was a prison fight between Hayden and Antonio Snyder, and they had a huge prison brawl that was basically like a movie. And then we kind of got the bug for it. We were like, damn, these are pretty cool. It's pretty. First of all, it's unique as hell, and there's a lot you can do with this. Not just having matches in the ring, but having matches in other places, and having these action sequences, these dramatic action sequences. So that was kind of the catalyst for the cinematic matches. And yeah, we still do them to this day because they're fun as shit to do. So we did cinematic matches before WWE did them. That's that. So it is what it is. All right, now the second level. Anthony beats Hayden at WrestleMania 2017. Yes, Anthony was supposed to beat Hayden at WrestleMania 2017. Hayden had just come back. He was still Hayden. He was still a big deal, but it was obvious he was kind of slipping into that upper mid card slot. And if he lost to Anthony, he probably would have just been a mid carder after that. But for whatever reason, and this changed the course of history in the company. Literally, it was literally a butterfly effect here. Hayden goes to pin Anthony after hitting his finisher. 1-2. Anthony's cue to kick out. He doesn't do it. He lays there, and Hayden gets to 3. And Hayden won a title shot off of that. He won a title shot off of that. So, yeah, it was a big shocker for everybody. Anthony putting over Hayden big there, and that started Hayden's entire reign. The Hayden gang, the pirate ships, the feuds with Alan and Seth and Aaron. It started all of it. All of it was started because Anthony Chandler did not raise his shoulder on that fateful night in 2017. Got to give it to the guys. David Dashington. Wow. David Dashington was a guy who was supposed to debut. He had a bunch of vignettes. The guy did the vignettes with his own face and voice. So his face claim was, David Dashington's face claim was him. He was supposed to debut against The Rock, I believe. And he was going to have a big program with The Rock. And I guess some drama. I don't even remember what happened, but there was some drama and there was a falling out with the writer. And he never really made an impact. Greatest Royal Rumble 2018. I remember this. Greatest Royal Rumble was supposed to happen in the summer of 2018 after drama happened and Ziggler was no longer with the company. Greatest Royal Rumble was supposed to happen in the summer, and it was going to be won by Seth Rollins. But then people came back. More people came back to the group and stuff like that, so plans changed. But yeah, that was going to be won by Seth Rollins. That Greatest Royal Rumble that was supposed to happen in December of 2018. I think I even still have the announcement poster for that Greatest Royal Rumble. 50 men Rumble. But we already did a 50-man Rumble before WWE even did. We did one before them. Snyder movie franchise. The Snyder movie franchise was a horror movie franchise starring Alan Snyder. We role-played. We wrote them out post by post, comment by comment. We did it all ourselves. It was fun. We did, I think, 2 of them. We tried to get the third one off the ground. We could never continue writing it because a lot of stuff came up. We tried to get a reboot off the ground. Probably still trying to do that, but yeah, it was a fun horror movie franchise though. It starred Alan Snyder as a character named Snyder. It starred Blitz as a character named Agent Rush. It starred The Miz as I forgot his name, but it was The Miz was playing a character, but I forgot the character that The Miz played. Man, it was fun though. It was fun. Aaron/Savannah team. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I'm surprised this is on here. Yeah, in 2015, when Savannah and Ashley first had their first feud, there were plans that Aaron and Savannah were going to be an on-screen couple, and that was going to throw a wrench in the feud and kind of create conflict and some drama in the feud, where Aaron, choosing between his sister and his girlfriend, and yeah, that was a plan though. That was really the plan. I don't know why it didn't happen. If I could guess, it was probably because all the stuff that was going on. It's probably because all the stuff that was going on with the New Corp at the time, and it would be weird to have Aaron and Savannah together when Aaron was a heel at the time, and Savannah was really the top woman's babyface. So that's probably why I can imagine when all the new core stuff, new corporation stuff kicked in. CM Punk's WrestleMania main event. Yeah. Oh yeah. Lots of drama behind this one. CM Punk won the 2016 Royal Rumble. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was clearly, obviously, as he was the one who won the Rumble, he was going to main event WrestleMania. We've almost always done it where the Rumble winner main events WrestleMania. There have been exceptions when it's like older guys that win the Rumble, but almost always the person who wins the Rumble main events WrestleMania. And it was supposed to be Punk's big moment anyway, so he should have been main eventing WrestleMania. But there was a lot of drama that I won't rehash. I hardly remember it anyway, but I won't rehash it. There was a lot of drama, and ended up Punk did not get his WrestleMania main event. He still won the belt though, so it's all good. He still won the belt. All right, Seth Rollins versus Ashley Snyder 2. Yes, another planned match that was canceled or never really came to fruition. Seth Rollins and Ashley Snyder had a match, I want to say at the Rumble, I think. At the 2019 Rumble? When Ashley first came back, because Ashley disappeared after she lost to Sasha Banks. She disappeared for a while. And she came back in January of 2019, around the same time Savannah came back. And she was going on a huge tour of matches, just wrestling everybody. She wrestled Seth Rollins. I think this was at the Rumble. I think it was either around the Rumble or it was at the 2019 Rumble. I think so. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that it ended in a draw or something like that. Ended in a time limit draw or something like that, and they were supposed to run it back for a second time. But well, if you know, around the time, it was a crazy time to even think about doing that feud, because Seth was involved with Hellblayers and all that stuff, and Ashley was involved with Becky, and they all had they had their own things. Ashley wasn't a face anymore, and Seth was pretty much on the cusp of turning heel. So yeah. Aaron started Seth's downfall. You could say that, yes, that Aaron started Seth's downfall. Yes. I guess this is about the idea that a lot of the problems from Seth's career kind of started as a result of Aaron betraying him in 2017. Which, yes, that's valid. You could definitely say that because, again, butterfly effect here, but that's kind of when his trust issues and stuff like that kind of spiraled out of control. And he's never really fully recovered from that. So yeah, you can kind of the popular opinion is that it was Anthony who started it, or even Dean Hellblazers who started it. But you can really make the argument that it was Aaron betraying Seth when Seth became world champion. Yeah, wow, that's a good one. Melissa as the women's champion, right? So there was a reign of terror on Vixens. A certain wrestler was holding the title for what people thought was far too long, and a lot of people were campaigning for Melissa to win the belt. And when she was iron hot and it was time for her to win the title, she didn't win it. She did. I think she won it eventually. I don't remember. I think she won it eventually, but it was either too late or something like that. But yeah, when she was iron hot, she did not win the title, even though everybody wanted her to. Celebrity wrestlers. There's been a ton of celebrity wrestlers in the history of the group. You've had Ben Affleck, Antonio Brown, Tom Brady, Gronk, who was U.S. champion at one point. Just a ton of celebrity wrestlers. Drew McIntyre, Money in the Bank. Oh, yes, Drew McIntyre held the Money in the Bank. Never cashed it in, though. AJ Styles' 2014 WWE title run. AJ Styles won the title in 2014. He lost it to, I believe, Shelton Benjamin in the offseason. I'm pretty sure that was like a month later or even a few weeks later. He lost it in the offseason. Then did he win it again? Or did it I think he won it again. He won it back, but then the reign was so short and uneventful. It just kind of fizzled out. But he did have a better reign in 2016, 2015, and 2016. He did have a way better reign then. Winter Slam pay-per-view. Winter Slam was a pay-per-view. It was SummerSlam, but in the winter. I think this was created when I wasn't even involved with the group back in 2012, that time when the group kind of split, and I took a hiatus. And I think there was one in 2012 and then 2013, I want to say. And then it kind of disappeared, and we never really revisited the concept afterwards. All right. Best in the World 2020 tournament. Yes, we used to hold an annual Best in the World tournament, which is basically King of the Ring, but more advanced and are more, I guess, exhaustive and stuff like that. And then there was a huge pay-per-view dedicated to it. And Best in the World 2020 was going to be a round-robin tournament, which would have been new for the format, because usually the format was single elimination. But the 2020 edition would have been more like the G1 Climax. It would have been more, round-robin-ish with blocks and stuff. It never happened, though. So that's that. Canceled moments from WWERP, ladies and gentlemen. Rated R Kill Animals. Oh, boy! Yes, Rated R Kill Animals was a stable. Randy Orton, Edge, and Batista. And they had some bomb-ass matches with the Shield. I think there were like 2 or 3 matches with the Shield. And they were all great matches. I mean, they were really good matches. Probably the best trios matches we have ever had. Rated R Kill Animals versus the Shield. I missed that stable. Rated R Kill Animals. Wow. That's taking me back. That's a good one. Survival of the Fittest, WWE Fortnite. Yeah, I guess you could say this is canceled, but there was, in 2018 or 2019, there was the idea that there was going to be a kind of Battle Royale Fortnite-style matchup where wrestlers would drop in random places, and the last one they would battle it out, and the last one standing would win. We kind of did this, though, at the Rumble recently. Not exactly the same thing, but pretty much in spirit the same thing. Yeah. And I called it WWE Fortnite because that was funny. And everybody was mad at me, so I kept just calling it WWE Fortnite. Snyder Family Stable. Oh, man, this is like being canceled and started and canceled time after time. But for some reason, there has never been a point in WWE history, WWERP history, where the entire Snyder family has been completely on the same page, except for one moment, but it didn't last that long. But there was always supposed to be a stable called the Snyder Legacy, where every Snyder in the promotion would be in this stable, and they would all be on the same page, dominating, winning championships, stuff like that. But it just never happened. I'm pretty sure it's been talked about since at least 2015, since at least when Ashley debuted. Yeah, it's just never happened. It's never happened. There's always been shenanigans. Aaron's always off doing something stupid. Ashley's always off being crazy. Alan's always off being crazy. Antonio's always doing his own thing, stuff like that. For various reasons, it never happened. But yeah, it's a good piece of trivia there. It's a good piece of trivia. I like that. All right, let's go to the last level. Oh man. All right. The Suicide Squad. That was a stable with Omega Felix, Wade Barrett, Alberto Del Rio, Ryback, and Curtis Axel. It was someone. I know Del Rio was in it. I know Sheamus. Maybe Sheamus was in it. I didn't mean to say Sheamus. I know Wade Barrett was in it. I know Omega was in it. And it was like the stable, it didn't have any direction. It was basically just these guys got together because their careers were on the downslide, and they wanted to, basically had their own reasons for being in that stable. There was eventually a falling out between the stable, particularly between Barrett and Omega, that led to a feud and stuff like that. And the stable quickly disbanded almost as soon as it formed. It was an experiment and it failed, really. But yeah, that's what that was. Good one. Aleister White. Boy, this is a good one. Aleister White was a character who was being positioned for a big push. I think he beat Randy Orton and someone else in a triple threat, I think. Maybe it was Allen and Randy Orton in a triple threat. And then He disappeared. Never appeared again after that. Thank God it's rebooted now, so we don't have to acknowledge that piece of history. Jesus Christ. But yeah, that was bad. Justin Prince, another person, kind of like Aleister White, was being positioned for a big push and then just disappeared. Although unlike Aleister White, he was actually under Allen's tutelage. With I think the stable was called New Dawn. I believe it's called New Dawn. I think it was Justin Prince, Alan Snyder, Ric Flair, and Alex Riley. So it's kind of like Evolution, basically. And Justin Prince was supposed to be the breakout star of that one, but I'm pretty sure he even won the Survivor Series elimination match, or he at least got most eliminations. But yeah, he disappeared after that. All right, Vixen's Reign of Terror. Oof. So there's a character that's not on this Iceberg, I don't think, named Harley, based off of Harley Quinn from DC Comics. She was basically the top heel of the women's division for a long time. She had the women's title, and she just held on to it. It was a very controversial title reign. Probably not as bad as it's remembered, but it was a very controversial title reign at the time because people were just tired of long title reigns at that point, I guess, which I can understand. People were just tired of long title reigns. They didn't want long title reigns, and they didn't feel that the character needed the championship to do the things she was doing. I think she feuded Ronda Rousey and a ton of other people and stuff like that. Well, yeah, a lot of people feel like that the title could have been with someone else. It wouldn't have diminished the character if she lost the belt, or someone else had the belt. It wouldn't diminish what the character was doing. So it got quickly called a Reign of Terror because of how much it reminded everyone of Triple H's Reign of Terror. And that's the title reign I was talking about earlier with Melissa, that people wanted Melissa to end. Eventually the reign did end, but at that point everybody was, it was more of a sigh of relief than it didn't really get anybody over at that point. It was more of a sigh of relief, like, oh, okay, thank God, it's finally over. But there were some good moments sprinkled in for that. Like, it wasn't like the worst thing ever. Maybe we were just dramatic at the time because we were like younger and teenagers and we were just a little bit over dramatic. But who knows? My memory's hazy anyway. Allen loses to Undertaker at WrestleMania. This is an inside joke. Is that every time Allen would do something we didn't like, we threaten him with saying that he's going to lose to Undertaker at Mania. Because Allen was positioned to end Taker's streak multiple times. Not multiple times. He was positioned to end Taker's streak since 2012. That was the original idea that Allen came in. When I originally pitched him coming into WWERP, before he even knew what RP was, I told him about it. We started talking about it, if he wanted to be a character, if he wanted to play a character in that. And the original pitch was always that he was going to debut, beat Brock Lesnar. He was going to be built as this beast, and he would eventually end the Undertaker streak at WrestleMania. It didn't happen that year, but it did happen in 2013, where he eventually ended Undertaker's streak. That was the one thing that always stuck, that he was going to end Undertaker's streak. But we would troll Allen and joke with him and say, okay, you're not winning the match if you don't do this, blah, blah, blah. Paul Starr versus Hayden / Jake. I think Jake Carter. Yeah, Jake Carter and Hayden were both supposed to face Paul Starr multiple times. Hayden used to troll Paul Starr, call him out, stuff like that. I'm not sure if this. I don't know if the Paul Starr versus. I don't know if either of these matches happened. I have no idea if either of these matches happen on the large scale. I know Jake Paul. No, I'm mixing their names up. I know Paul Starr and Jake Carter had like some kind of exhibition boxing match that Jake Carter won. But that was a meme match basically, but still. Yeah, there was a lot of heat between all three of these guys though. A lot of heat between these three guys on a personal level. Because things used to get real personal back then. But on a personal level, the writers were really protective of their characters, which is fine. I understand that everyone should be protective of their characters, but they were real protective of, their stake of claim to being better on the microphone, in the ring, etc. If you ask me, though, in retrospect, I think Hayden was way above Paul Starr and obviously now Jake Carter is too. But back then, when it was a talk that that Hayden and Paul Star is because that was the big match to make at the time. That was the match to make, but I think it's obvious now that Hayden was really far and above. But all right, Matt Hardy pre-WrestleMania 2014 promo. Oh yeah, okay, I think I know what this is. So Matt Hardy cut a promo. I don't think it was like before WrestleMania exactly. It might have been the Raw before Mania or 2 Raws before Mania or something like that. Matt Hardy, he was following Paul Star. He had a gimmick. I think he called himself the Wrestling Jesus because Paul Star was a wrestling god and stuff. And Harley was also in that stable. They were called the Holy Trinity. Matt Hardy cut a pretty good promo. I think Anthony was writing him. Matt Hardy cut a pretty good promo on John Cena on the Raw before WrestleMania, I believe. Or it could have been 2 weeks before WrestleMania. But it was a pretty good promo. That's kind of forgotten nowadays, but it was a very good promo by Matt Hardy where he just laid into Cena and made a lot of allegorical references and stuff like that. It was really good. Really shows you the levels. Linda World Heavyweight title run. Oh, man. So, yeah. Linda had the Money in the Bank. And I guess because there was a technicality with the women's Money in the Bank, there was a technicality where I guess technically it never said you could not cash in on male champions. It was never restricted to just the women's title. So Linda tried to skirt the rules, and this was unscripted, by the way. There was plans and stuff, but this was an unscripted moment where Linda came out with the briefcase and tried to cash in, and there was a whole argument about it behind the scenes and stuff like that, and led to the butterfly effect that led to Aaron betraying Seth. So I guess it kind of was a good thing. I don't know, but I know it was a clusterfuck at the time, and it was very cursed. And this was something that was talked about for a while. The writer for Linda was really adamant on Linda doing what Ashley. That's why, because Ashley won the WWE Championship in 2016. So the writer for Linda was adamant that happens for Linda in 2017 for the World Heavyweight Championship. I know my holdup was that the World Heavyweight title is a heavyweight title. It says it in the name, heavyweight title. It can't be won by I don't know. Well, I guess Rey Mysterio won it, right? But still, it's like, I don't know. But I know there was a lot of drama and stuff like that because of this unscripted moment. Allen versus Undertaker in the UFC. Oh, this was like a meme fight, and like back in like 2013 when Allen and Undertaker had like a fight in an octagon. I don't even know if it was exactly the UFC, but they had like a fight in an octagon as a build-up to their WrestleMania match. And I think Allen kind of beat the shit out of Taker or something like that. I don't remember this exactly, but this is a funny meme one. Curtis Axel push. Curtis Axel was supposed to get a big push. Yeah, he was. He was positioned for a big push, but just never got over. Jake Carter walks out. Jake Carter walked out in a match with CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship after there was some bickering between the writers and stuff. And Jake Carter just walked out, left, disappeared. And it became integrated into the storylines when he came back. And people still bring it up to this day when they want to get at Jake Carter. It's kind of funny. See how far he's come. Shield triple threat at WrestleMania 2019. Yes. Good one. Another good one. That was the plan at WrestleMania 2019. It was going to be a triple threat between Roman, Seth, and Ambrose. Obviously, at WrestleMania 2019, Seth ended up facing Aaron for the championship. Aaron versus Hayden at WrestleMania 2019. Of course, this almost happened. Aaron and Hayden had a feud in 2017. When Aaron first came back, he wrestled Hayden. He came up short. And Hayden would go on his big-ass reign. And then in 2018, Aaron came back, fought Hayden again. Hayden just beat him again. I don't think Aaron's ever beaten Hayden before. Well, there was a triple threat cage match, but he didn't pin him. He escaped the cage. It was against Anthony and Hayden, but I don't know if Aaron's ever beaten Hayden 1, 2, 3 clean. It's a good piece of trivia there. I like this one. Yeah, but they were supposed to have a match at WrestleMania 2019. It never happened, though. for various reasons. Obviously, Aaron now had a championship and stuff, and his feud. I think his WrestleMania match with Seth got announced like so early too. It got announced before. It got announced in January of 2019, and WrestleMania was in like June. It was June of 2019, I believe. So yeah, Aaron versus Hayden. Aaron versus Seth was already well planned out in advance. It was made by Zara, so yeah, that never happened. But before that happened, before Aaron and Seth was planned way ahead of time, announced way ahead of time, it was supposed to be Aaron versus Hayden. All right, Global Force. Global Force was a stable with Blitz. Back then he was Rush, but Blitz, Antonio Snyder, and Jonathan Ayers, who was also known as the Amazing Ayers later in his career. It was a pretty big stable at the time. It was a pretty good stable, respectable stable. It was pretty over. They worked for John Laurinaitis. That's why they were called Global Force. And the thing was that they were from all walks of life. Blitz was from England, Antonio America, and Ayers was from like the islands and shit like that. He was like an islander. Lilla Ray Carter. That's Jake Carter's sister, I think. That was a character that was playing by another writer. She's not here with us anymore, but yeah, she created a character for Jake Carter's sister, I think. I think that's what it is. Yeah, but that character obviously never happened. Wyatt family versus Snyder family. Right, this was supposed to be a feud, a full-fledged feud. There were hints of it because Bray Wyatt obviously had Ashley as Sister Abigail at a time and stuff like that. But it never really happened because the writer for Bray just wasn't very good, and his matches were boring. Sorry to be so harsh, but yeah, that's what it is. Anonymous was Blitz's. That was Blitz. Anonymous was Blitz. This is a good one to have on here. Anonymous, he was a character that wore a mask. He would come out claiming he won championships in all these promotions, most of which did not exist. And he would actually come out with these championships too. I think he had some like 50 championships or something like that. He would declare himself the greatest wrestler of all time. And he basically made it his mission to troll the hell out of Allen. That's what he did all summer long. All summer 2013, all he did was troll Allen. That was like his sole function, was trolling Allen. And eventually culminated in a match between Allen and him when he revealed himself as Blitz. It was a pretty good mini feud. It's not remembered much today, but it was a pretty good feud. Antonio Snyder WWE title run, the elusive Antonio Snyder WWE title run, which has never happened yet, has yet to happen. Antonio has always been close to the title, has never gotten to it. There have been plans in the past for him to win the championship, but it's just never happened. Christian WWE title run. Christian was supposed to win the title in 2014, and then Paul Starr came back. But Paul Starr left in late 2013. Christian feuded with Zach Poe, who became the champion in that time span. Christian was supposed to win the title from Zach after a lot of drama happened. Christian was supposed to win the title from Zach and get a title run. And then Paul Starr came back, and that kind of changed everything because now it was like, okay, well, who's more over, Paul Starr or Christian? Obviously Paul Starr, so if Zach's not going to be the champion, we got to put the title on Paul Starr now. And Paul Starr won the title, and Christian really never sniffed the WWE title again. But yes, Christian was almost the WWE champion. Would have been interesting to see. And the last one, Rollins ends Allen's undefeated Mania streak. Yes, Allen had an undefeated WrestleMania streak after he beat Undertaker and stuff like that. And there was WrestleMania 2017 was Aaron versus Rollins versus Allen with both championships on the line. Rollins was the world heavyweight champion, I believe, and Allen was the WWE champion. So they had a triple threat match with both titles on the line. This is kind of a funny story because the original plan was not for Rollins to pin Allen. The original plan was for Rollins to pin Aaron. But there was a point in the match where Rollins buried Aaron alive, and Aaron was supposed to crawl out. This is embarrassing, but the reason is that Aaron's rider, aka me, fell asleep in the middle. It fell asleep. I don't know why to this day I fell asleep. I don't remember being tired, but it just happened. And so Alan and Rollins, which is John, kind of improvised, and Alan said, "Fuck it, I'll take the pin." So Alan took the pin, and that was the end of Alan's undefeated Mania streak. And pretty much continue Rollins' undefeated record against Alan. It was pretty funny though, because when I woke up, I expected, okay, maybe someone took over as me, or Rollins pulled Aaron out, and nope, Rollins pinned Allen. And it was good because it got Rollins over even more and made everything seem much more legitimate. So, yeah, that was great. So, yeah, this is the WWRP Iceberg. Fun little Iceberg to do. I had fun doing this. And I'll see you guys in the future.